the Universal monsters are well known and regarded as the gold standard in monster films. We know them all: the Phantom of the Opera, Dracula, the Frankenstein monster, the Mummy, the Invisible Man, the Wolfman, the Bride of Frankenstein, and the creature from the Black Lagoon, or Gillman. By far, the most popular is the Frankenstein monster, also known as the monster or Frankenstein. Frankenstein, released in 1931, was directed by James Whale and starring Colin Clive as Dr. Frankenstein, Dwight Frye as Fritz, and Boris Karloff as the monster. Jack Pierce provided the excellent iconic makeup for the monster. The novel was written by Mary Shelley in 1816 but published 2 years later in 1818. The film was loosely based on the novel. If you don't know the story of the movie, Dr. Frankenstein and Fritz, his assistant, are robbing graves so that Frankenstein can use the body parts for his creation. His friend, Dr. Walden, is teaching a class on the differences between a normal brain and abnormal brain. The doctor then sends Fritz to collect the brain. Fritz gets one of the brains from the classroom after the class is finished. He gets startled by a skeleton and drops the jar with the normal brain, so he decides to take the other one. What harm can it do, am I right? He returns to the dock and puts it into his creation. After his creation gets hit by lightning, the hodgepodge of human limbs and organs lives. The creature eventually gets up and goes to Dr. Frankenstein. He is following the doctor's orders when Fritz gets close to him with a torch. This freaks him out, and the doctor has to confine the creature. Fritz harasses the creature with a whip and torch, creating a monster out of the creature. And this is when you really start to feel sorry for the guy. No, not Fritz, the monster. The monster kills Fritz. Dr. Frankenstein and his friend decide that they've lost control over the monster and tranquilize him. As Dr. Walden is preparing to dissect the monster, it wakes up and strangles him to death. The monster escapes and takes off for the town. He meets a little girl, Maria, and accidentally tosses her into a pond where she drowns. He then attacks Dr. Frankenstein's fiancée on their wedding day. The villagers go after the monster after creating havoc and drive him up into a windmill. Dr. Frankenstein is up on the windmill with the monster and is tossed onto the windmill blades. The villagers burn the windmill, seemingly killing the monster. This film is tame for today's audiences, but back in the 1930s, I'm sure it was quite a scene. Boris Karloff would play the monster a few more times, most notably in the next two films, The Bride of Frankenstein and The Son of Frankenstein. Mr. Karloff also played the mummy Imhotep in Universal's 1932 The Mummy, and in non-monster roles. He was the iconic narrator for the original Grinch cartoon. Mr. Karloff passed away in 1969 at the ripe old age of 81. He left us with icons of television and film.
What's wrong with Dracula? He's losing his monster power. So is Frankenstein. Quick, into the Monsterizer.
You can activate the Monsterizer, batteries not included, and imagine you're restoring monster power to Frankenstein. Figures sold separately. You crank him into the chamber. It closes automatically.
Activate the Monsterizer. I feel like a new monster.
The Monsterizer comes complete as shown. Frankenstein and Dracula figures are sold separately. New from Remco.
Neca got into the Universal Monster game with their 6-inch figures, and first up is the most famous monster of the silver screen, Boris Karloff as the modern Prometheus, the Frankenstein monster. The next monster we'll see in this line is Lon Chaney Jr. as the Wolfman, followed by another Boris Karloff classic, Imhotep, the Mummy. This Frankenstein monster came in two flavors, color and black and white. As cool as it would have been to have the monster in black and white, photos can be easily turned into black and white. And if you don't believe me, there. Now I have a black and white monster. Or do I? Actually, yes, I couldn't help myself. I had to get the black and white icon as I finally found it in the store shelves. The monster comes with 2 additional heads, 3 sets of hands, shackles, and daisies. This monster has the usual articulation of any typical Neca figure. The daisies are a nice touch, but why? More useless stuff to add value. I know what scene it refers to, but if you're not gonna give me Maria, then don't bother. This figure is very well done, and I do like him a lot, which is why I had to get the black and white version. I'm looking forward to seeing what the rest of the Universal monsters will be like under Neca's tenure with the line.